So, water, water is the most important substance found on the earth. It is the main source for the life, right? Now, is water a compound or a mixture? We have to see that. Is water a compound or is water a mixture?
Ma'am, it is a compound.
Ma'am, a compound.
Okay, why it is a compound?
Ma'am, because the molecules of hydrogen and oxygen are mixed in a fixed proportion.
Yes, the atoms combine in a fixed proportion. The atoms of hydrogen and oxygen combine in a fixed proportion by weight, by volume, right? And anything else? Why it's a compound?
Ma'am, because the properties of the components like hydrogen and oxygen, they cannot be they have different set of properties.
Yeah.
Can I say?
Yes, Dhyan?
Ma'am, the properties of hydrogen and oxygen differs from the properties of water.
Correct. Water has a new set of properties which do not match with the properties of hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, and the components that is hydrogen and oxygen cannot be separated by the physical means. They can be separated only by the chemical means. So because of these reasons, water is a compound. It is not a mixture. Okay, so in water, the elements hydrogen and oxygen are combined in the fixed proportion by weight. Their properties differ and they cannot be separated by physical means. There are two types of water, natural water and treated water. So natural water, the water which is found in the nature, rainwater, spring water, river water, sea water, lake water, all these are natural water. And then the water which is treated, which is received in our buildings after the treatment is called treated water. Okay, so the natural and treated water, then there is distilled water. So distilled water is the purest form of water. This water does not contain any impurities, neither in the gaseous form nor in the solid form. So it doesn't contain any impurities. It is the purest form of water, H2O only H2O. So that's the distilled water. So it is prepared by condensing water vapor or steam. It's soft water and free from all solutes, air or solids, any solute. And then we have pipe-borne water. So it is prepared by the filtration by chemical treatment of water. It is free from bacteria but may contain essential solutes. Then we have chlorinated water, that is water present in the swimming pool. So that is the chlorinated water.
So chlorinated water is good for our health, or is it bad?
It is not good, but we put extra chlorine so as to kill the bacteria and the germs. So it can be used only for the swimming pool, and that is why our skin gets tanned also.
Ma'am, why can't normal water be in swimming pool?
Because there will be lots of bacteria. So many people dive into it. So सबका germs और वो सब रहेगा ना पानी में. So to kill that, we need to put water.
Okay.
Chlorine in water. Okay.
Ma'am,
so in your book, we have the properties of compounds and properties of water. So this we have compared, and then natural water and all this is okay. Now, water is a universal solvent. This is very important, mark it important. This is a very frequently asked question. Again, why water is a universal solvent? So there are two reasons for why water is universal solvent. Now, water is called universal solvent because it has an ability to dissolve a large number of substances. It can dissolve salt, sugar, all the chemicals, most of the inorganic chemicals, and few of the organic chemicals, most of the gases. So it can dissolve a large number of gases. It can almost dissolve every common substance, and therefore it is called universal solvent. So one question, why water is universal solvent? Because it can dissolve large number of substances. It can dissolve organic, it can dissolve inorganic, it can dissolve gases. And so it is called a universal solvent. Now the question 2 arises, why water is a universal solvent? What makes water universal solvent? What properties of water make it into a universal solvent? So water is universal solvent because of 2 properties. The property number 1, it's a polar covalent compound. So since it is a polar covalent compound, okay, the shared pair of electrons are unequally distributed, due to which charge separation takes place and there is a polarity developed, and so it can dissolve all the ionic compounds. It can dissolve the ionic compounds. And the second reason why water is a universal solvent is the high dielectric constant of water. Water has high dielectric constant. Dielectric constant is the property of water by which it can separate out the ions. It can move the ions apart. Okay, so the 2 reasons why water is a universal solvent. What makes water a universal solvent? Number 1, it is a polar covalent compound and it has got high dielectric constant. Have you noted why water is a universal solvent? Because of the 2 things. It is a polar covalent compound, and number 2, it has got high dielectric constant. Clear? So because of these 2 reasons, it is a very good solvent, a universal solvent. Now the question arises, what is a solvent? Solvent, which is generally liquid, it's a medium of dissolution which allows the solute to dissolve in the form in it so as to form a solution. So the liquid part of the solution is called the solvent, or the maximum part of the solution where the solutes dissolve is called the solvent. So solvent is generally liquid. So it is a medium of dissolution. So dissolution of a solute to form a solution is called a solvent. Then solutes. So solute, what are solutes? The solutes are those substances which dissolve in solution in solvents to form a solution. So that is called solute. If you take the quantity of the solvent will be more and quantity of the solute will be less. Okay, so solvent is always in larger quantity. Now, what is a solution? A solution is a homogeneous mixture of a solute in a solvent. It's a homogeneous mixture. That means if you take out the composition from any part of the solution, the composition will be the same. If I have dissolved some sugar, so if I stir it and make a uniform solution, so if I take any part of the solution and taste it, it will taste equally sweet. It will taste equally sweet. So that is, it is homogeneous. The particles are evenly distributed. The particles are evenly distributed. So there are 2 types of solution, dilute and concentrated solution. A dilute solution has more of the solvent and less of the solute, and in which you can add more solute. So that is a dilute solution, in which a solution in which the amount of solute is relatively less as compared to amount of solvent in a given mass is called a dilute solution. Whereas a concentrated solution, it's a solution in which the amount of solute is relatively large. It is relatively large as compared to the amount of solvent in a given mass of it is called concentrated solution. So, like, if to very in a simple language, if I have 2 glasses of water, same size, and in one glass I'm adding 1 spoon of sugar and I stir it and make a solution. In another glass, I add 5 teaspoons of sugar and I stir it and then make a solution. So the glass B, which has got 5 teaspoons of sugar, will be concentrated, and glass A, which has only 1 teaspoon of sugar, will be dilute. Okay, so this is how we say dilute and concentrated solution. So a solution which has less amount of, relatively small amount of solute is called dilute solution, and the one which has more amount of solute is called concentrated solution.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, dilute solution is more transparent, right, than concentrated solution?
Yes.
Because dilute has less solvent. Sorry,
Right.
solute.
Yes. So it will be more less trans. It will be more transparent. Now, true solution. So true solution, the nature of the true solution, it will be clear, transparent, homogeneous in nature. The particle size will be so small that they can pass through the filter paper. There will be no residue in the filter paper. And it cannot be seen under microscope. The particles do not settle down. The particles do not settle down. So separation, the solute can be recovered by the solvent by physical means and not by the chemical means. We don't need a chemical mean to separate. We'll just boil. We'll boil and then evaporate, and so the solute will be left out. It's will form the residue. Okay, so true solutions, there can be there is always a mixture. It is not a compound. True solution cannot be compound. It's always a mixture, because solution is formed only when the two substances are mixed together. Then we get a solution. Now, when we talk about the solution, then there are two types of solution. That is true solution. When we are talking about the two types, unsaturated and saturated. Now, unsaturated मतलब जिसमें और ज्यादा आप solute डाल सकते हो, that is called unsaturated. जो हमारी ग्लास ए थी जिसमें 1 टीस्पून हमने शक्कर डाली, उसमें अगर हम 4 टीस्पून और डाल सकते हैं, so that is unsaturated solution. So a solution which can dissolve more of the solute at a given temperature is called unsaturated solution. The term given temperature is very, very important, because if we change the temperature, we can change the amount of solute that can be added. If you increase the temperature, then the amount of solute added increases. So at a constant temperature, at a room temperature, if you can add more of the solute, then it is an unsaturated solution. Is this part clear to everyone? This is very important. Unsaturated solution, you are asked to define.
Yes, ma'am.
What about others?
Yes, ma'am.
It's clear.
Okay. Then we have saturated solution. So saturated solution, what is a saturated solution? So the saturated solution is the solution where we cannot dissolve any more of the solute at the given temperature. That is saturated. यहाँ पे हम और शक्कर डाल देंगे तो शक्कर सेटल हो जाएगी, वो डिसॉल्व नहीं होगी. It will remain undissolved, and that is saturated. And if you pour out the solution, filter कर लो, so जो clear solution मिला है वो saturated हो गया. Okay, but then at the room temperature, at that fixed temperature, it is always at the fixed temperature. Now, how can we convert a saturated solution into unsaturated solution? कोई बता सकता है, how can you convert a saturated solution into unsaturated solution?
Ma'am, by increasing the liquid.
By increasing the solvent. Yes.
Can I say?
Yes, Ashi.
Ma'am, by when by heating the
Yes.
Yes,
By
sir.
increasing the temperature.
volume increases so that we can add more solute, but when it cools down, it cannot be added.
Yeah, because when we heat, then what happens? In many cases, the dissolution is higher at higher temperature. So there are two ways by which we can convert a saturated solution into unsaturated solution. Number one, by heating the saturated solution slowly. So when we heat the saturated solution, it can dissolve more of the solute. And the second, by adding more of the solvent. So when we increase the solvent, again, it can dissolve more of the solute. So these are the two ways by which we can convert a saturated solution into unsaturated solution. Now, there is a term called supersaturated solution. Now, this supersaturated solution, it is different from the saturated solution. Supersaturated solution is the solution which can hold more of the solute than the saturated solution at that given temperature. For example, हमने शुगर सोल्यूशन बनाया, सैचुरेटेड शुगर सोल्यूशन बनाया at 20 डिग्री सेल्सियस. ओके, सो शुगर सोल्यूशन एट 20 डिग्री सेल्सियस में एक सैचुरेटेड सोल्यूशन बन गया. ठीक है, सो नाउ उसको मैंने सुपर सैचुरेटेड क्या कैसे होगा, which can hold more of the solute at a given temperature than that is present in the saturated solution. अब उस शुगर सोल्यूशन को जब हम हीट कर रहे हैं, सो इट इज होल्डिंग, इट इज एबल टू डिसॉल्व एक्स्ट्रा सोल्यूट. जो एक्स्ट्रा सोल्यूट डिसॉल्व हो गया, सो देन इट बिकम्स अ सुपर सैचुरेटेड. अब फिर उसको अगर हम फिल्टर कर लेंगे, व्हेन इट कैन नॉट डिसॉल्व एनी मोर सोल्यूट, देन दैट सोल्यूशन at that temperature is the super saturated solution. So super saturated, which it can hold or contain more of the solute at a given temperature that is present in a saturated solution. Now, how do we prepare a saturated solution of a solute? Is prepared by boiling in water, and then if the above solution is cooled, excess of the solute will separate out, and the hot solution therefore contains more of the solute, dissolved substance that it can hold, and that hot solution is called super saturated solution. So preparation is not asked, only it is asked what is a super saturated solution. But you should also know that how do we prepare. So that is we prepare a saturated solution at a high temperature, and then when it is cooled down, it will throw out the excess of solid, but then the solution will be termed as the supersaturated solution. But there are some exceptions, like sodium sulfate, which decahydrate. So it is possible to cool a saturated solution without excess solid crystallizing out. So no undissolved solids are present because the solution is not high ho jata hai. It can dissolve very high amount of solute, and because of its water of crystallization, so we cannot get a super saturated solution of sodium sulfate decahydrate. Now the solvent part is very, very important. I want you to write each one 5 times and learn them. So benzene, it can dissolve rubber, and so where is this used? It is used in the laundries, in the dry cleaning. Then petrol, kerosene, ammonia solution to remove the grease spots. Then turpentine oil to dissolve paints and paraffin wax. Then so turpentine oil is also used for removing that paint stain. Then carbon disulfide dissolves sulfur and phosphorus. And petrol can dissolve grease, chlorophyll, rubber. Acetone can dissolve cellulose, acetate, nail polish. Then alcohol can dissolve iodine, naphthalene, chlorophyll, and sugar also. Sugar also gets dissolved in iodine. Alcohol, sorry. Oxalic acid can dissolve rust. So in order to remove the rust stains, then we can use oxalic acid. Then methylated spirit can dissolve chlorophyll. So sometimes when you fall on the grass thing, then your pant gets the chlorophyll stain, and the stain, chlorophyll ka stain, and that stain doesn't go by washing. So then we have to use either methylated spirit or you use a petrol. So solvent used in our daily life. So in laundries and dry cleaning, so we use petrol, kerosene, ammonia solution. Then we use turpentine to remove the paint stain. Then we use borax for removing the tea and coffee stain. And we also use this in the manufacture of perfume. So for aromatic oils, we use alcohol, then extraction of chlorophyll in the laboratory. Then for boiling water, boiling leaves in alcohol so as to dissolve the chlorophyll. Then dressing the wounds. So iodine, tincture iodine, it's the alcohol, iodine dissolved in alcohol, that is the tincture iodine. So that is used for the dressing of the wounds. Okay, so we will stop here. So in the next class, then I will complete this chapter along with soft water, hard water. Please read this part and keep up, keep ready. And tomorrow I will intimate you when I can keep the class. Mostly I'll keep in the evening. Evening matlab kya? 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock. 3:30. 3:30 to 5 is okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, when?
Tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am, it's fine.
Yes,
Hai na?
ma'am.
So that I can complete this chapter and I can start with the physics also. The last chapter for this term, mostly that is the upthrust. Okay. Chemistry, I think only this will be there because practical chemistry मैंने पूरा पढ़ा दिया आपको. I hope you remember, na?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
फिर भी एक final touching कर देंगे for practical chemistry. After I complete this water chapter,
Okay, ma'am.
I will do once again. I will do practical chemistry because that is very, very important. But start learning practical chemistry, please. From your back.
Okay, ma'am.
The book.
Test, right?
Yeah, test.
And the colors. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. Start learning. By next week, by 20th, I want to finish off the portion. So 20th, 21st, I want to finish off the portion. So we stop here.